Peace and blessings, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk IFA. I am IFA Jamini Ray.
I am IFA Gunshe.
And you were tuned into
the best,
the greatest
podcast
on
the planet
Earth.
Let's Talk IFA.
Ashe, why peace and blessings to you and your families as usual. We pray everybody is well. Welcome to another episode. And how y'all doing out there? Thank you for your support.
Ashe, yes.
Would you please continue to like, share, and subscribe the channel as we grow and develop as a podcast, and also as with the other efforts that we have going on that will be launching soon with the Rites of Passage program here, and also the African Spirituality Blueprint that is coming your way soon. We are working diligently on that and a few other things. So today's topic, we are talking about it's within the realm of the Odu, OGBE Ogunda, OGBE Yonu, otherwise known as OGBE Yonu, which is the OGBE of patience. So we wanted to speak some today on the importance of patience and what happens when you don't have patience. Eni suru baba iwa.
Eni suru baba iwa.
To have patience is the father of good character.
Ashe.
I'm going to let you set it off, my brother.
All right. Eni suru baba
iwa.
Patience is the father of good character.
Ashe.
And what do that mean? What do that mean to or for humans? What do that mean for us? Olodumare, when human beings were created, we were placed on this earth to exist, and we inhabit this earth so that human beings can socialize and work with each other to make the earth a harmonious place for human beings.
Ashe.
And when doing that, when working with each other, we must understand the power of patience. So OGBE Yonu, OGBE Ogunda teaches us that when we have patience, all things can happen for the positive. Progress is one of the blessings of patience.
Ashe.
Blessings of prosperity is one of the gifts or rewards of having patience. Blessings of victory is one of the rewards of having patience.
Ashe.
Longevity, ireaiku, is one of the rewards of having patience. Ireaje, ireala are the rewards of having patience.
Irebogbo.
Irebogbo.
All of the
blessings of
life
comes when you have patience. So this Odu teaches us that. Now, how do we achieve patience? How do human beings, because we know every human being doesn't have patience. That's why we have impatience, which is the opposite of patient. And so the impatient can lead one to becoming a liar, becoming a cheat, becoming a thief, becoming a robber, because they are impatient one becomes desperate and they will do anything to get what they want.
Now, today.
So, some people are put into situations where they might, they may be hungry, they may be like down and out and like really on the verge of falling apart. And they may have to step out of their character or out of good character just to survive. And so those things, are there. But IFA teaches us in OGBE that when we have the discipline to constantly work on our character and our behavior, and we are patient with it, and we take our time, and we move like the snail sometimes, that when we achieve our success, that success is locked in. There's nothing that can come in between. There's no gaps or no holes open where anything can come in and disrupt that because we had patience enough to work towards building what we're trying to establish and what we're trying to bring together. And we took the time, and once we reach to the heights of our destiny or to the heights of, what we're working on, it becomes solid. And nothing can break it because we took the time and we was patient enough to build on it. It's just like when you build in a house and you take your time to build the house. The foundation has to be solid first. So the foundation is something that you always, you work on, and you want that foundation to be strong so that when you put the frame on, it's solid. It's like if the foundation is weak, you didn't spend enough time and you didn't study the area where you was building your house.
You cut corners.
You cut corners because you wanted what? You was impatient. You wanted the money. You wanted the money to get that house built. So you didn't take the time to study the area and say, okay, a lot of water comes in this area, so I have to build this foundation up to this height. I have to make sure that the pillars are high enough. You know what I mean? That foundation is strong, then the top, once you put the frame and the roof on, your house is solid.
Yeah.
But it takes time and patience.
And so a lot of times rushing, it can give you the illusion that, okay, I'm getting this done faster, like you're making more progress. But in actuality, you're really setting yourself back more by rushing. That's the whole story of the tortoise and the hare. That's what that story was trying to teach us about, was patience and steadfastness and just stand. That's what the tortoise represented. And the hare was speeding, trying to finish first and going too fast, and and you always get into trouble. So really the way to go, if you really want to get there, the fastest way to get there is to go slow. Right? That's the irony of it. And it's something that where it just depends on your personality. Some people have a harder time with that particular character trait, where some people have patience and they were born patient and they just kind of, that's just kind of how they are. And then you have other people that really struggle and have a hard time with it, because the other part of this Odu, other than it's the OGBE of patience, but it also talks about not being angry, because a lot of times when you're not patient, in anger, you let anger take over. It clouds everything and it messes up. It throws a monkey wrench into all of your blessings and what you're trying to do. So, that impatience can bring a lot of anger. We'll get to the story in a minute, but one of the stories from the Odu that narrates this. But first, we just wanted to talk about patience as the principle of patience first, and how it applies in our daily lives. In the culture, So a lot of times you see it show up if somebody does a divination and they do sacrifice or they do airball or it's any ritual or anything is done for the person. Sometimes Ifa will test us, or Lodumare will test us to see if we have the patience that's required to, to come into that blessing, because you can't, our time and our mind and when we think it's supposed to happen is not the same as divine timing.
Right. Yeah, that anger, trying to do anything and you're angry, it's going to be done half. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be done till it's to its full capacity.
It's not going to be solid.
It's not going to be solid. It's going to be weak because the anger, as you said, anger causes that impatience. Mm-hmm. Or the impatience can even cause frustrations, which can lead to anger. Mm-hmm. And so, patience, Ifa, even when you studying Ifa, when a Awo Kekere is learning Ifa, mm-hmm. Learning Ifa is patient. It teaches you patience.
Yep.
And if you got a good Oluwo, your Oluwo gonna make sure as to become a good Awo, mm-hmm. to become a strong Awo, your Oluwo gonna make sure that you understand patience. Mm-hmm. But just the training and the learning, when you're learning Ifa, or not just anything that you're learning, when it's done with patience, when you get older, you're gonna see the fruits of your labor, and mm-hmm. you're going to see the fruits of you being patient and what that brings, because you was patient enough to walk through the process mm-hmm. steadfast. You took your time. Mm-hmm. You gradually learn. And so this Odu is very important in Ifa, for all Ifa devotees, not just Babalawo, mm-hmm. but for the new beginners that's coming into Ifa, this Odu, I like to make it a habit, if I'm teaching someone, this is one of the Odus that I talk about when they're coming into this.
Yeah.
That's
a good one.
Even with clients, even if they're not coming into this, whatever they come into Ifa for, because a lot of clients like to say, when am I going to see some progress with my work? And then I always try to make it a habit of mm-hmm. telling them about this Odu and the importance of patience.
Yeah.
It's very important, because the ancestors and Orishas don't work on our time. Mm-hmm. They work on their time. But we have to be patient enough. We have to be patient enough with them. And that's when you start seeing the results.
Yeah.
Is when you have patience and you're mm-hmm. not just, you're not calling up the priest and say, the bar ain't working, or I don't see no results. No, you have to be patient, because sometimes that bar that's been done, sometimes it may take a month, may take 3 months, it may take 6 months, it may take a year, it may take 3 years before you start to see things manifest. But the thing is, what people don't understand is that you're not just coming. When you come to the priest with a problem, that problem is not the only thing that's being investigated. It's a whole bunch of other stuff that you coming with mm-hmm. that Ifa sees. You may not see it because you just coming and saying, Baba, I'm coming. I got arrested mm-hmm. for having some weed in the car. Could you help me get out? No, the situation, your situation ain't just revolving around that mm-hmm. charge. It's revolving around your destiny mm-hmm. and all the other things that you came into the world with.
The other thing that's important to note on that fact is that if you have a certain result that you're looking for, and that's what you're basing it on, right? Ifa says that there are also a lot of other things that are being blocked, and that are a lot of blessings that are coming and things that would have happened that IFA has blocked and taken care of in that. So you don't even see those things. You just focus on this particular thing to happen in your mind to say that bo's working. But no, IFA says that during that time, you might not see too many things changing with your own physical eyes, but in the background, there's a lot of other stuff that's going on that you were protected or spared from. So that's, that can be the other side of it too. So the term Iyawo for wife comes from the story of OGBE Ogundu and OGBE Yonu, where Rumila had taken a particular wife and she was just taking him through the ringer. I mean, but she was really, the whole time she was just testing his patience to see if he was ever going to get angry. And Rumila, as usual, had already did his Idafa to know how to handle this particular woman. And it said that he would be tested and to not lose to have patience and to not lose his temper and to not get angry under any circumstances. So she did all the worst things you can think on purpose. Burnt his opine fire through his Iroke away, all his implements, like just crazy stuff on purpose to see if Ifa had the patience and the perseverance and the right attitude and strength and personality to be with her. So when he passed the test, she cut all that out and she was like, okay, I did all these things. He didn't even get angry. Like, this is the one for me. And so the suffering that Orunmila, the suffering that he endured in Iwo, the name of the town was Iwo. So the Iya that he endured the suffering in Iwo becomes Iyawo, becomes a term for a wife. And it also describes the patience that we have to have with relationships and with women. Just make sure, we want to reiterate that there are situations where you just don't need to be there. It might not be the right situation. So don't just take stuff from the wrong person. But remember, in the story, Orunmila went for divination first, and Ifa said she would be a good wife, but he would have to undergo those things. So he didn't just blindly pick somebody and go into that, because you might, if you do that, you might not come out the same.
Right. So he went, before he married her, he got divination, and then when he wanted to come out of the situation, he got divination. He didn't just say, he didn't get angry and temperamental and say, I'm out.
Right.
And left.
Right.
But this is interesting, because we see a lot of situations like this now, especially, with, men and wives and, situations where, your wife might throw your clothes out of the closet outside in the yard, or in the middle of the house or something like that. And I'm sure we've all, as men, kind of been through that. So I know I've been through that situation before. And I kind of relied on patience, kind of like, because inside, you be steaming.
Oh yeah, you want to flip,
do something, but then you learn to rely and have control, and that patience takes over, and you like, all right, I'm gonna just let this go. Let me just pick everything up and put it back where it's at, and let me just leave the house for a minute and let things cool down. And then you come back, and then the energy is different. But it's interesting you talked about that, because one thing as men, what we got to realize is that our wives or women help us to be patient.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
The kids too. They help us to be patient with all the chaos that it may be sometimes, and the fighting and the arguing. That is actually helping us to be patient. But as the Baba said, sometimes it becomes overwhelming, and you go to Ifa to say, okay, I need to check on this situation, to see what's going on. And sometimes Ifa might just say, you've ended, your time with this person.
you know, or this person is now they stepping beyond,
right.
and now it's becoming disrespectful to you. So it's time to move on.
Yeah.
And so those things do happen.
Benny. Yeah, because in this particular story, the princess, that was her plan. That was her strategy, was to put him through some things, and then if he passed the test, then she was going to knock it out.
She was going to be thorough.
She was going to chill.
Okay, you can deal with.
Yeah, some people playing ain't like that.
Right.
Some other EIs out here, they playing ain't to knock it out.
Some of it is straight wicked.
Some of them, yeah.
And straight up wicked.
And the same, you know, can go for the men as well. So we're not just talking about something that's particular just to women. We're just talking about in this story and the patience that, you know, men have to have with their wives.
Right.
But of course, this can go both ways. It's not a male or a female thing, but it's just like, you know,
because some women have to have they can be tested, and their husband can be the problem. Yeah, and sometimes the husband can go overboard and put his hand on a woman, but when that happens, that's when it's time for her to leave, because now he didn't really overstepped. You know, he's overstepped that line. You know, but a man can test a woman, and sometimes I know it's not in OGBE, but it's in the Odu where, you know, a woman married this particular man, and he was just disrespectful, but this particular man ended up being a shoe, and he was testing her to see her level of patience, and if she can even endure the energy or the energy of a male, and you know, she ended up making that bar and everything. But this man was poor. Everything he did, he failed, and he went for divination to become prosperous, but it was told to him, you have to be patient. Yeah. Your wealth is coming. But he's like, my wife is getting impatient because I'm not making no money. Yeah. And she's ready to leave. But she was told to be patient with him, that this man would be wealthy. Right. And she hung in there, and this man ended up becoming wealthy.
That was the test for her.
And that was the test for her. And so it goes both ways.
Benny.
You know, so we have to learn as couples to be patient with each other. And we got to learn to be patient with ourselves. A lot of people's problem is within themselves. You know, some people are impatient with themselves. They're down on themselves because I haven't done this yet, or I haven't done that yet. And you also have to be diligent and be busy and be focused, but also be patient with yourself. If you haven't made the progress yet that you think you should have made by now, you know, have some mercy on yourself. Have some don't beat yourself up. That's I'm not gonna call it a taboo, but that's some spiritual advice that I know that comes out a lot. Sometimes IFA will see, okay, this person on the mat, they beat themselves up too much. You know what I mean? Sometimes we can be our own worst enemy when it comes to things like that. You can't be too hard on yourself. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with others. And then, you know, also with this Odu OGBE, with what I get from it is sometimes with people, you know, they'll come for divination. They'll get the divination. They'll do the airball, and then they don't wait to see, they are not patient enough to see the blessings from that airball, and they're ready to get another reading. And then they're ready to get another one. Yeah. And then it just kind of...
Especially our newer people.
Right. And then they just like...
Reading junkies.
Now you're not... Right. You're not being patient enough to see the blessings from that first DAFI and that airball that had just been done. You got to be patient enough so that you can start seeing the blessings from that. Don't just go run and get another divination, and you don't even understand the wisdom that came from that
What's
first
going
interpretation.
On? It's like an adrenaline rush. It's like a dopamine.
I got to do more air ball. I got to do more air ball.
Yeah.
I got to do more air ball because I need money. I need prosperity. Well, what about needing and learning patience? Doing air ball so that you can understand patience. Doing that ball so that you can have patience. You know, doing that ball so that you can learn what gratitude really means.
Yeah.
It's like people just want something, you know, but sometimes, you know, you might think you making an air ball for this particular thing, but IFA sees that you need to learn gratitude. You need to learn patience. You need to learn tolerance. And your air ball is geared towards that, but you thinking it's geared towards something else. But the IFA sees this is what you really need.
Yeah.
You know.
For sustainable, long-lasting blessings. Like we said, just like going back to the example that Baba mentioned about building a house. For, you know, the house might be good for 5 or 10 years because you rushed and you cut some corners. But eventually, you're going to start seeing the evidence of what was rushed due to impatience. So for long-lasting and sustained peace and blessings and prosperity, the patience has to be there because, you know, the time is going to pass regardless. So what matters is, or what the difference is how are we gonna pass it? Are we gonna pass it, you know, just being patient? Like you see people that have made it in whatever they're doing, and you might look at them and say, well, you know, it might look easy, or you might think they made it overnight, but it took them 10 years, 15 years, 20 years to get here and do this. But they just stayed, you know, patient, and they just persevered. And during that time, you can't be upset and angry all the time. You have to make yourself be okay. You have to be happy and peaceful with it, and just accept the fact that, okay, I'm going to just stay steadfast and stop comparing yourself to other people. You know, you'll get there when you're supposed to get there, and not when other people get there, or when you think you're supposed to get there, or when other people think you're supposed to get there. You'll get there when you're supposed to get there. But patience is the key to life. You know, Inisuru Babaiwa. This Odu also talks about a couple other things it mentions. It talks about possibly having twins. So Ibeji are mentioned in this Odu as well. And from take it from Baba Ibeji, from a father of twins, as well as my brother is Baba Ibeji. You have to have patience with Ibeji. I remember
the whole clan
when my twins were babies, and you know their EI was breastfeeding them, and they would wake up in the middle. This how they would wake up at night, about 2:30. One of them would wake up hungry, crying. Feed one. Soon as you get one to sleep, then the other twin wake up.
Yeah,
and you gotta repeat the same thing. So they bring a lot of blessings, but they also they bring double blessings, but they require double patience. You got two different, most of the time, even identical twins, they still two different personalities. Mine were fraternal. I can remember them being little infants, and not infants, but toddlers. For instance, as an example, I remember taking them going to the water park. They were probably like 2 or 3 or 4. And trying to watch them and keep up with them because they were so different. One would be here, and then the other one would be all the way down there somewhere. And I'm trying to run around and keep up with them and keep my eye on them. Yeah, it's like, it's a lot. It's a lot of patience. So,
especially when you got Taiwo Kahinde Idowu Alaba.
Yeah, see, I just had the 2.
Yeah, I had to deal with a full set, and it takes a lot of patience and time, and knowing that, you know, each one of them have their own personality, and you have to deal with them according to their personality, accordingly. You know, and it works out when you do that. You know, that's the clever way of getting through it. Is like, okay, they got let me deal with this one because they got different personalities. So you have to deal with them accordingly. Ifa says in Ogbeyonu, ibinu odan kan fun suru ni baba iwa agba toni suru ohun gbogbo loni difa fun osupa kirimu ti yojo ye olon ro eboni woni ko ba she. And Ifa says here, anger amounts to nothing. For one, patience is the father of all good character. An elder who is patient is blessed with all good things of life.
Benny.
That's beautiful.
That's beautiful.
You know, anger. I believe once you reach a certain age, and you're youthful, as a youth, you're so quick to get angry.
Benny.
You're so quick to be impatient. Those are the things we understand about being youthful.
Benny.
But along as you're growing and you're progressing in life and you're getting wiser, you're becoming more of an elder and more mature. If you have withstood the test of time,
Benny.
by the time that you're an elder, your blessings will start coming. Because as humans, we're in this marketplace and everybody is trying to get rich. Some people don't get rich until they get older.
Yeah.
Some people's blessings, their full blessings don't come until the evening of their life. Until the evening of their life. And so with this particular verse, it kind of when I looking at this verse, is like, an elder would get all the array of life. It's like when you have patience and you say in your 20s, man, you get to your 20s and you're like, wow, I haven't got my prosperity yet. You get to your 30s and you're like, man, I still ain't got my prosperity. I'm doing all of these things. 40s, 50s. Now, by the time you hit 60, you might start seeing things fall in place. And you're like, oh.
Yeah. It can happen that way. They might be your destiny.
Right. But if you've stood the test of time and you have had patience going through that process, by the time you get to that stage of the eldership, is like you start seeing all of the pieces falling in the right place for you. And sometimes it's good to have prosperity or the wealth at an older age for some people, because as you can see, certain people become millionaires young and they blow it.
And they mess it up.
Or they act a fool and they mess it up. And then they go through by the time they become an elder, they all messed up because they didn't step back and they didn't learn the lesson.
They didn't learn the lesson.
So now it's like
they didn't handle
the loss well.
I say some people's fate or destiny is to become wealthy in the morning or in the earlier part of their life. And then if you don't understand and know that, you have to cultivate and maintain that, for the rest of your life. Some people's is at noon, which is maybe, in your 30s or 40s, right? When you're not young and you're not old. So you just have to know your role and your destiny. And because a lot of people, and like we said, your destiny might be to come into your wealth and prosperity in the evening, in the later years of your life. But what happens is people may not know that or understand that, and they might not have a lot of patience. They may have run out of patience, and people will give up hope, and just like the Bible said, go rob a bank or commit suicide, or just say, F it, I'm gonna just go out here and live in the woods somewhere. But had they just hung on, not knowing that they were almost to the light at the end of that tunnel, but because they lacked that patience, they just gave up. And before it was their time and before it was their season to receive those blessings.
I think that happened to Mike Tyson with this fight. Like all that no, seriously. And I love Mike Tyson. I that's one of my favorite.
You mean the WWE match?
Yeah, the WWE boxing match. It's like, I love Mike Tyson as a boxer. I watched, probably most of all of his fights. But to end up seeing where he's at now, and him you know, even the little interview he had with the little girl when he was like, she was asking him about his legacy, and he's just like, legacy don't mean nothing. That's just something made up that they, it's like, and to see him to throw that fight like he did, it's almost like you didn't gave up your legacy for a few $1 million.
Yeah.
But I think he's just probably, you know, he was probably given wealth at such a young age, and he wasn't educated on it. And then just look at how everything, you know, they raised him up here, and then they pulled him down
for some money.
Now, his comeback up is like you just gave your legacy away for a few $1 million.
Yeah, that was corny. I mean, Mike was good. Mike got money. He got stuff going on, so he really didn't have to do that. I mean, 20 mil, 22 mil, whatever. It's a hell of a come up. Just throw 16 punches and to just get in there and do nothing. But to me, I agree with you. It does kind of tarnish the image of what he came from. But just to stay on topic, so another angle of this Odu, like the Bible mentioned, is when this Odu falls for a person, when this Odu comes for a person at divination, depending on the orientation of the Idafa, of the reading, depending on the orientation that the Odu came in, it can also point to a person that needs to work on their patience, but also a person that has anger issues.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And somebody who needs to work on anger. And another part of this Odu is that's the OGBE Ogunda, OGBE Onu is the OGBE of the dog. So IFA, a lot of times, IFA will say that this person or this client, it will benefit them to own a dog because it will help them to develop some nurturing skills and help them with their anger and their patience, and it will kind of like help calm them down. It'll get them out and get them some exercise and help them to think more clearly, because a lot of times this person may not be getting out enough. So all the positive benefits of owning a dog usually will help this person if this Odu comes for a client as well. So that's just throwing another piece of that.
having a ajah
having a dog will help
able
them.
to help
will be a blessing to
particular
them.
client with their issues,
with the anger, with the patience, with nurturing, with everything that they have going on with their health, stuff like that.
Well, Yimbos love dogs.
Oh yeah. So, but yeah, we just wanted to kind of touch on this because patience is a big thing, not only in our community but just with humanity. It's it's one of the greatest virtues of life. And OGBE Ogunda, OGBE Yonu is, of course, there are other Odus that speak about patience, but this is one of the main Ifas, one of the main Odu that comes to mind when one thinks of having patience and being perseverant, having perseverance and enduring suffering to receive the blessings of life. You know what I mean? So, Benny. So we just want to continue to thank everybody for supporting us, for riding with us on this journey. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe. Be on the lookout. The African Spirituality Blueprint will be launching soon.
It's coming.
The Rites of Passage will be launching soon. We want to parlay that enroll into our independent school from the Rites of Passage program, because the youth, that's our future. And we have to establish these institutions and do what we need to do as a people. So if you want to advertise on Let's Talk IFA, send us an email, letstalkifa@gmail.com. If you have questions that you want us to answer in our Q&A segment, send us an email, same email address. If you need divination or any other services, please send an email. If you send us a message through social media somewhere else, it'll probably take longer for us to get to it. Benny.
And Email address is www.LetsTalkIFA.
Nah, brother, that's a website.
That's the website.
LetsTalkIFA at gmail.com. I say wow. Yeah, so we signing out for another episode. We pray that this has been insightful. I am Awoifa Jaminire.
I am Awoifa Tegunshe.
And you are tuned into
the best,
the greatest
podcast
on
the planet
Earth.
Let's talk IFA. Ashe.
Odabo. Abo ato asuri wori wofun. Ireo. Eni suru babaiwa.
Ashe.
Ashe.